My name is Wendy Mannon. I have 5 children. Been married for almost 21 years, and I've been in Alaska approximately 25 years. My husband's father was retired Air Force. My father was retired Army, and we grew up here for the most part, and we got married here. We moved out of state for a little while for some schooling, and then came back to raise our family, and we've been here ever since. It's been home. My family has since moved out, but my husband's family is still here, and we're pretty close with them. And Alaska's home. It has been for a long time, and we want to stay. Got involved in the process of the wood burning regulations because I am a wood burner. We were wood burners for several years before the regulations came into effect, or before we even were aware that there was regulations. And we did our thing. We got the wood stove, we ran our household with the wood stove, and then the news stories started to come, and we started to realize that things were getting serious and that we needed to be more proactive in the governmental process and just to be aware of what's going on. And it is important for us as our family to be able to heat our house affordably without government intrusion. It is significantly cheaper than using fuel. We bought our house. When we bought our house in 2009, we had just heating fuel for quite a few years, and we decided to buy the wood stove whenever the fuel prices were really high, and it saved our family's life. The difference between how much money we were expending in fuel oil and how much we were expending in wood for the house was astronomical. We never actually measured it per se, but we knew how much money we were spending on wood and how much we were spending on fuel, and it was cheaper. It's more efficient, and I don't have to worry about the fuel running out in the middle of winter and me or my family not having enough money to pay for it. We have the wood, we have it for the whole winter, and if it's super cold, I know that we will get through. And I wouldn't know that if we had only fuel oil for the house. Well, my family grew up, for the most part, before I was on my own, in Salcha. So Salcha's a different area, and you have to have a certain set of standards whenever you live in Salcha. And we had a wood stove, and we were quite self-sufficient with the wood stove, gardening and hunting and all of that. And so knowing what I knew growing up, it was important to instill that in my kids as they grew up. One of the reasons we didn't want the wood stove to begin with in our house was because our kids were really young, and we were worried about the safety factor, but we knew that we could teach the kids how to stay away from the stove. So as a kid, it always was the hauling of the wood. I'm not sure if it's warm and fuzzy even for my kids now, but as I had 2 siblings, and we cut and we hauled and we stored and we dried, and it went from one shed to a storage area in the house, and that's what we do with our kids. It goes from the wood pile outside to a stored area in the house, and it is a family effort. I mean, we all have to chip in to ensure that the house stays warm, and you don't have that sort of camaraderie. Just fuel oil, you go and get the fuel oil, you pay to have the fuel oil delivered, and there's some sort of a connection between how hard some people have to work to earn either the money to get fuel oil or earn the money to pay for your wood, for the wood stove, or even just the effort it takes to load and haul and cut down your own wood. It's significant. The wood stove means everything at this point. It is it's life-sustaining. We are considered a low-income family. We have a large family on one income, and we do everything that we can to mitigate the expenses that we have. We save as much as we can, and this wood stove is the way to help our family save in the winter. We bought it when we had the dividends. We bought it with dividends, and every year we use part of the dividends to either upkeep it or buy wood for it. So it really means everything. We know that we are secure and safe with the wood stove. No matter what happens in the wintertime, it will be there to ensure that we have heat in the event of an emergency, and it means everything. I know how much money we spent on fuel whenever we only had the fuel, and I know how much money we spend on wood, and it's significant. I know that I can pay for a one-time fee to get all of the wood I need for the entire year, and then I don't have to worry about keeping my house warm. So I don't have an actual calculation there. I just know that it's significant. We didn't follow the bans because we couldn't. It was not something that our family could do. It was not something that my family, my husband and I, were willing to do. We were not willing to sign up for permission to burn our wood. We knew that the wood that we had was dry. We knew that the stove that we had, we bought it, is EPA approved, and we knew that we were maintaining it correctly. We couldn't. It was not a possibility. So we didn't follow the burn bans, but it was definitely very stressful. Wondering if, first of all, I mean, it's a moral conundrum because, you know, what you're doing is against the rules, and you aren't exactly following the societal expectations for improving the air quality around you. If we are doing it the right way, if we are burning the correct wood and the correct stove in the correct manner, we are doing everything that we can to clean the air up in the circumstances that we are. It doesn't do my family any good to bankrupt my account and give us no money for food or other essentials to put fuel in the house when I already know that I have wood in my wood pile and I can use it. So my family didn't follow the burn bans, but it was very stressful. I have 3 older children, 2 of which are old enough to really understand what's going on, and so having conversations with them about what the rules are, what the rules mean, why we aren't following the rules, that's a difficult conversation to have with kids who you expect to follow the rules. It's been a process, and we're still working on it. The biggest concern, I think, is trying to work with government officials to see that there can, in fact, be a medium between banning wood during cold extreme weather, wood heat during cold extreme weather, and helping to improve air quality. There are definitely ways that we can work together as a community and that we can help each other out without resorting to burn bans and smoke patrols and all of the regulatory angst that we are working with right now. And those regulatory rules are really pushing residents away. They are pushing residents away from trying to help each other, and they are definitely pushing residents away from trying to be cooperative with any government agency, whether they are trying to be helpful or not. So the biggest concern I think I have is trying to work together as a community to get, first of all, people who don't burn wood to understand that we are not evil and we are not trying to contaminate everybody's lungs. We just want to stay warm. And to get the regulatory agencies to understand that there are better ways to work at the problem that we are having that does not involve burn bans and punitive punishments for families just trying to stay warm. Problem that I've always had with the rules and regulations, even when the borough had them, is the economic stipulations, that rules that were put in place to allow people to have no ash waivers. I've had a huge problem with having to show your economic status in order to be approved for a no ash waiver. I think that's demeaning, and I think it is absolutely not the business of any government official what kind of money I make to determine whether or not I can burn in a wood stove. I think it's perfectly fine for government agencies to ensure themselves that people are burning the correct wood that's stored correctly and out of a correct or an EPA-approved stove. I was okay with those regulations, and I was okay with showing or registering for that type of information. But when it goes past that, well, we know that you have a registered stove and we know that you have dry wood, but because the air quality is so bad you can't burn, and we won't allow you to burn unless you show us that you are too poor to burn. I had a problem with that from the get-go, and I will never sign up for a no ash waiver because of those stipulations. I will not show my financial status and to earn the right to burn wood. It is so far beyond the scope of government, what government should be, that I can't do it. My family can't do it. We've talked about it. The older kids who are old enough to understand have talked about it, and we're all in agreement. That's information that the government doesn't need, and I won't provide them. If they want to move forward, the EPA and the DEC, with these types of regulations, they've got to figure out a way to help residents with ensuring that they have DEC quality or EPA quality stoves and the right wood without getting into their personal finances and their personal lives. It's a no-go for me. I won't sign any paper that allows the government to know how much money I own or have in order to give me permission to stay warm.